All right, I'm sure you've heard about or perhaps read about the story of a 5-year-old boy that accidentally shot and killed his 2-year-old sister with one of these. David Crickett, my first rifle. This is a 22 long rifle, bolt action, single shot, manual cocking lever. It's built for the youth market, as you can tell by the size. And this is the one that I bought for my children. I've got a video about it of me presenting them to it as a gift, and there's 2 or 3 videos showing them shooting it at different times and different places. And on those videos, I've recently, of course, in light of the story, got a lot of negative comments, particularly, or interestingly enough, from a lot of Europeans, but also, I'm sure, other people located in the States, anti-gunners and things of that nature, that have called me things like a moron, an idiot, and irresponsible, and how stupid I am for buying my children this rifle, and because it's because of people like me that this accident happened, and that how my children are now going to grow up to be mass killers and things of that nature. Well, to those of you who have written those comments, I only have one thing to say, and that you all are stupid. And the reason being is this, is that this is not the reason why that 2-year-old is dead, all right? I know you want to blame this because it's an easy thing to attack, but this can't do anything by itself, all right? It has to be acted upon by somebody. The reason why that little 2-year-old girl is dead is because of their parents, all right? Their parents, if you've read the story, and I hope you have, their parents left this sitting out, loaded, and easy access to their 5-year-old son, all right? Anybody who knows anything about firearms knows, first of all, one of the 4 main rules of handgun safety or firearm safety is that you always treat every firearm as if it were loaded. All right. So I don't care if they thought it was unloaded. You're supposed to treat it as if it was loaded. Second of all, you have a responsibility to keep it out of reach of your children with an easy access. It wasn't even up on a shelf. All right. It was just laying up against the wall where he can get to it. Third, they weren't supervising this child. I mean, the mother was there, but she stepped out, and man, children left to their own devices will do a number of different things that you have no idea that they were able to do. So that's what happened. I mean, that's the reason why it happened. A couple things I want to show you in this rifle, though, is that you see that little dot right there, that little button? All right. This is the integrated bolt lock. All right. It's a button that you push, and there's a key that's specific to this rifle that unlocks it. That's the only thing that'll unlock it. You can't pick it. I think especially not a child can pick it. But see that post in there? Right there? That keeps the bolt from moving any further forward than that. All right? You cannot actually fire this rifle when that bolt lock is engaged. All right? It's not difficult to do. In fact, I've done it accidentally. We're shooting. I have to dig out my keys and unlock it and continue. The other thing is this. This is the cocking lever here. Okay? Once the round is chambered, won't do it now because you can't chamber round. But there's this pretty stiff spring that you have to pull it back until it clicks, until the firing pin is cocked and ready to go. So either this 5-year-old is stronger than normal 5-year-olds, or this was actually cocked and ready to go, okay, which was another problem, another irresponsible act by those parents if that was the case. Now, a lot of people think, for some reason, that I just have this rifle out, that my daughter either has it in her closet or that it's hanging up on her wall or something like that. No. See that box back there? This is Bighorn. That's my gun safe. That's where this stays. No, my children do not have access to that safe. It's a 6-digit numerical combination. They don't know what it is. So that there's no way they can actually grab this rifle and chamber around and get to it because they don't even have the key to this, because that bolt lock actually stays engaged as well. All right. The other thing is that my children actually are not curious about firearms. They don't come up and try to break in the safe. They don't try to touch daddy's pistols or anything like that because I have answered every question they've ever had about my firearms. Anytime they have a question, which hasn't been for a while now, I would stop what I was doing. I would pull out whatever handgun or rifle that they had a question about, and I would show them everything on it they had a question about. Even if stuff they didn't have questions about, I would show them how it worked, what it does, you know, how to hold it, shoot it, things of that nature. So, because I don't want them curious about things, especially firearms, because when kids are curious about something, they want to find out the answer to it by themselves. That's not something I want happening around firearms, especially. So, you know, my kids haven't asked to see my firearms and my rifles or pistols or anything like that for quite a long time, actually. And in fact, they don't go clamoring to shoot this either. You know, they've only shot it like 3 or 4 times, but I mean, they enjoy it, but they're not itching to do it. And that's because, like I said, they're not curious about it. The other thing is this, is that yes, my children are responsible enough to have this. First of all, because I've made them responsible. Yes, my children do what I tell them to do. Not because I'm some super parent or I have some magic formula, but the plain and simple truth is we don't tolerate them not doing what we tell them to do. All right, so if I tell them not to touch that, believe it or not, they don't touch it. Okay? So the parents were ultimately the ones responsible. I think they should be held liable. That is my belief. Whether they are or not, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in that case. I'm not going to speculate on that either. But, this is not the reason. Okay? To give you an example that you could probably wrap your head around is that we're talking about accidental deaths of children. More children are killed by accidental alcohol poison than they are with accidental firearms discharge. Yes, that's true. All right, you can look at a Bureau of Statistics. That's not from the NRA or some other pro-gun group. It's from the Government Bureau of Statistics. All right, and this is what what it is that parents are leaving their alcohol, their alcoholic beverages accessible to children. Whether it's in the refrigerator, in the liquor cabinet, it's unlocked, whatever. Of course, kids, they see their parents drinking. They notice that it makes them either feel better or it changes their behavior. They're curious about it, so they drink it, and they drink too much because their little bodies can't process all that alcohol, and they die. All right, but nobody talks about regulating how alcohol is stored, or regulate or banning the sale of certain alcohol to parents with children or things like that, and they shouldn't. All right, because it's not the alcohol's fault. It's funny because alcohol actually does alter behavior. This does not alter behavior. All right, it's an inanimate object. It doesn't have some sort of magical powers. If you think that's the case, then you live on some fantasy land somewhere. All right, but it's the responsibility of the adult or the parent that owns it. Okay, same thing with a car. All right, drunk driving kills way more people than guns do. But nobody talks about regulating that stuff. Nobody talks about banning alcohol or shutting down bars after a certain time or anything. And they shouldn't, because ultimately it's the responsibility of the person. Now, even people, even anti-gunners will say that somebody kills somebody else in a drunk driving incident. The person that did the drunk driving should be held liable. All right, but of course, oftentimes they're not, because they don't want to blame the person. They want to blame the alcohol, and people see a problem with that, and I do too. They want to blame alcoholism as well, and that's another story. But it's not it's the person that drank it. Just as the parents that were responsible for locking this up. All right, and keeping this out of their children's hands. All right, and that's the reason why. Not this. It was the parents. All right. So I know I'm going to get flack for this video as well. I don't care. Okay, because the people that believe that this is caused it anyway are never going to understand what really happened. For some reason, they don't think people are personally responsible for their actions, or that they want to blame something else for an incident or a tragedy or an accident that happened. And that is the problem. People need to take responsibility for their actions and their actions alone. All right, thank you for watching.